In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Your Eminence, Metropolitan Petros of Accra, Ghana, Consul General of Greece, Mr. Chatzodonakis, Board Councillor, Mrs. Humphreys, Chairman of the Chinese Association, Mr. Erwin Pon, President of the Federation of Hellenic Communities, Mr. Filippo, Chairman of the Board, Dr. Stefanou, and honored guests. Καλώς ήρθατε στο ιστορικό μας σχολείο, η σχολή Σαχέτη. Γνωρίζουμε ότι η ίδρυση του σχολείου μας δεν είναι επίτευγμα ενός ανθρώπου, αλλά πολλών.
Σημαντικά και αξιόλογα μέλη της ελληνικής παροικίας εργάστηκαν με πάθος και μεράκι και τις περισσότερες φορές αφιλοκερδώς για να πραγματοποιήσουν το όνειρό τους, ένα ελληνικό σχολείο στην Νότια Αφρική. Σήμερα όμως θα μας επιτρέψετε να μιλήσουμε για έναν από τους ιδρυτές του σχολείου μας και να του αποδώσουμε φόρο τιμής με το αφιέρωμα που θα ακολουθήσει.
Αγαπητοί συμπατριώτες, γονείς, δάσκαλοι και αγαπητά παιδιά της σχολής Σαχέτη, σας χαιρετώ από τη Γενική Γραμματεία Δημόσιας Διπλωματίας και Απόδημου Ελληνισμού του Υπουργείου Εξωτερικών, από τη μακρινή Αθήνα. Η μέρα είναι αφιερωμένη σε μια εξαιρετική προσωπικότητα. Χαίρομαι που καλούμε να μιλήσω για τον κοσμαγάπητο Γιώργο Μπίζο και ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ για την πρόσκληση. Dear compatriots, parents, teachers and dear children of the SAHETI School, greetings from the Secretariat General for Public Diplomacy and Greeks Abroad of the Hellenic Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Greetings from Athens. Thank you very much for having me among you. Your school is one of the most important ones of the Greek diaspora all over the world. A true beacon of the Greek letters. George Bizos may have passed away, but he left behind a cradle of Greek education and all of you. Your school is like a wonderful meeting pot of democracy, equality, solidarity, and humanity against all forms of racism and intolerance. For the sake of knowledge and free spirit, you form a school with all the colors of the rainbow, like Mandela dreamt it. His Greek friend, George Bizos, brought it to life. We owe deep gratitude to his work. Thank you very much.
Η συμβολή του Μπίζου στις διμερείς μας σχέσεις είναι μεγάλη, γιατί μέσω της προσωπικότητάς του πρόβαλε τις ελληνικές ιδέες, τα ιδανικά, τις αξίες. Μέσα από το σχολείο αυτό διαδίδονται αυτές οι αξίες στην νοτιοαφρικανική κοινωνία, αποτελώντας φάρος ελπίδας για ένα καλύτερο κόσμο. Με την έννοια αυτή, ο Μπίζος αποτελεί πρέσβη του ελληνισμού που ενέπνεε όχι μόνο το σεβασμό, αλλά και την αγάπη των πολιτών της δεύτερης πατρίδας του, της Νοτιού Αφρικής. Ήρθε στην Νότια Αφρική στα 13 του χρόνια και κατόρθωσε όχι μόνο να προκόψει στη ζωή του, αλλά να αναγνωριστεί ως μια εξέχουσα προσωπικότητα στην νοτιοαφρικανική κοινωνία. Δικαίωσή του αποτέλεσαν οι τιμές που του απέδωσαν οι νοτιοαφρικανικές αρχές πριν αλλά και μετά το θάνατό του. Ο Μπίσος μας άφησε μια μεγάλη παρακαταθήκη που πρέπει να συντηρήσουμε και να κληρονομήσουμε στα παιδιά μας. Το σχολείο αυτό αποτελεί ίσως τη πιο σπουδαία κληρονομιά που μας αφήνει ο Μπίζος, με την ελπίδα που διατύπωνε και ο ίδιος, λίγο ακόμα, να σηκωθούμε λίγο ψηλότερα. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Good morning. It's a great honor for me to speak about George Bizos. And he pulled me aside one day and he says, you know, we've got children from other races that want to join our school. And as was the norm then, you had to apply to the various departments to get a clearance and an exemption. He said, Vice, we're not going to do that. We are going to accept the children. And whatever comes, we will fight it. That's exactly what we did, as opposed to other educational institutions. And through his conviction and initiative, SAHETI was planned and developed to reach the status it enjoys today. And to quote George, the spirit of Hellenism belongs to all of us. We have a duty to nurture it. And I would like to quote from his speech something which politicians around the world should take note. Dialogue, like many words in the Greek language, including logic and ethics, are tools which civilized people and nations should employ so that just solutions may be achieved. If we could just live those words, the world would be a better place.
To us who were blessed to live close to him and know him well, he was a humble, real human being. He was kind, honest, caring, and a family man. I will speak on behalf of SAHETI and my personal recollection of Advocate Bizos. He was an inspirational man. He was a man who was passionate about the things he loved and believed in and committed totally to them. Half measures were never part of his psyche. He fought tirelessly and bravely for everything he believed in.
Άσπρα καράβια τα όνειρά μας για κάποιο ρόδινο γυαλό. Άσπρα καράβια τα όνειρά μας. Θα κόβουν δρόμο και ένα δρόμο μυριστικό και γοδιαστό. Θα κόβουν δρόμο και ένα δρόμο.
Μια ζωή, ένα ταξίδι, μια βάρκα, ένας πατέρας, 7 στρατιώτες, ένα παιδί, ο Γιώργος, το ταξίδι αρχίζει. A boat, a father, 7 soldiers, a child, yours, the journey begins. Ελλάδα, Aethos, Νότια Αφρική, το ταξίδι δεν τελειώνει. Greece, Egypt, South Africa, the journey does not end. Κουρτούνες πολλές και μια καινούρια βάρκα, το σχολείο, Πανάκι της τα γράμματα και Ισάκη η ελευθερία. Lots of turmoil and a new boat, the school. Its sail is the letters and Ithaca's freedom. Βάζει το σπόρο της στις καρδιές των ανθρώπων και αυτός βγάζει ρίζες. He puts some seed of freedom into people's hearts and it grows roots. Όταν φύσει ο αέρας, τα δέντρα στο σταχιαστή ξαφτηρίζουν το όνομα σου. Παππού Γιώργο! When the wind blows, the trees of SAHETI will whisper your name. Παππού Γιώργο!
Bapu envisioned not just a place for Greeks to be Greek, but for anyone to be exposed to Greek culture, ideals, and to be surrounded by Hellenism. He knew that diversity of pupils leads to diversity of thought, of impact, and of outcome. SAHETI opened its doors to all that wished to be here, and it makes me so proud of him and this school that those ideals have never faded. It ensures that his legacy and that of SAHETI will live on far longer than names on walls or statues in hallways. This is a place where Papu was able to give back what someone once gave him, an education, a future, a chance to make something of himself. You would want those that follow him to continue this as a way of life, bringing those around you up with you, no matter who they are. It's pertinent that the school has chosen a vegetable garden as a place of memory for Papu. All of us, lucky enough to have attended SAHETI up to now, have been able to enjoy the metaphorical fruit of the labour and wisdom of George and his contemporaries. Now, it means that quite literally, future students will be able to enjoy the fruits of his labour and the labour of those charged with tending to the garden during their time at SAHETI.
The question now was not whether to have a school, but what sort of school to have. Mr. Bizos was passionate about his Greek heritage, but he was also a pragmatist who believed that not all Greeks in South Africa were destined to return to their homeland after a short period of time. Therefore, it was better to follow a curriculum that would enable the students to pursue tertiary education in their adopted country. Thus, he was largely instrumental in persuading the community that it was in their interest to have the South African curriculum with the addition of the modern Greek and Greek cultural studies as compulsory subject, rather than making it a Greek school following the Greek national curriculum.
With Advocate Bizos at the head of the board, forged ahead with their plans, and in 1972, the signing ceremony for the commencement of the school took place, to be followed 4 months later by the laying of the foundation stone by the then Minister of Education. Mr. Morgan Ellis was appointed headmaster in 1973, and in 1974, with 114 children, SAHETI opened its doors. There were 60 children in the nursery school and 54 children in grades 1 to 5. A school was born.
Χρόνια και χρόνια τώρα τριγυρνώ σαν πουλί περιπλανόμενο μες στη ξενιτιά, μες στη μοναξιά που δεν την αντέχω άλλο πια γιατί νοσταλγώ, γιατί λαχταρώ την αγάπη μου και το χωριό.
Honored by the board with the position of Life Vice President, Mr. Bizos continued with his involvement in school affairs despite his incredibly busy professional life. His immense contribution to the school was officially recognized when he was the guest of honor at the opening of the completed senior school and a bust of him was unveiled. He has held positions too numerous to mention within the judicial systems of Greece and Southern Africa, and has been closely involved with the post-1994 events in South Africa. He held honorary doctorates from the universities of Witwatersrand, Port Elizabeth, and KwaZulu-Natal, and a Doctor of Law from the North University. He was also Nelson Mandela's lawyer, and the two had become very close, personal friends. In 2004, he won the Bernard Simmons Memorial Award, which was given by the International Bar Association. In 2006, he received the Ambassador of Hellenism, Presveftis του Ελληνισμού Award, from the Greek ambassador who presented it on behalf of the prefect of Attica and Athens. This award is presented to personalities, se prosopikotites, who have a vision for an open, free, and universal society devoid of discrimination, racism, and injustice, and who work conscientiously and voluntarily in the spirit of ecumenical Hellenism, του οικουμενικού ελληνισμού.
It is fitting, therefore, that for his 75th birthday in 2003, the SAHETI family threw a very successful party for him, to which people came from as far as Greece, and at which the establishment of the SAHETI George Bizos Scholarship and Bursary Fund was announced. Mr. Bizos provided the fund with an initial contribution of 50,000 rand, emphasizing at the time that the spirit of Hellenism belongs to the world at large, and that SAHETI has a special responsibility to nurture it.
Λίγο ακόμα θα ειδούμε, λίγο ακόμα θα ειδούμε, τα μάρμαρα να λάμπουν στον ήλιο και η θάλασσα να κυματίζει.
Λίγο ακόμα να σηκωθούμε, λίγο ψηλότερα, λίγο ψηλότερα, λίγο ψηλότερα. Λίγο ακόμα να σηκωθούμε, λίγο ψηλότερα, λίγο ψηλότερα, λίγο ψηλότερα.
Advocate George Bizos loved planting and sowing seeds. And through that, he sowed seeds of unity, giving us hope when there was no hope. He heard us when no one would hear us. He listened to us. And that is what he's created for our Chinese community. And there's a Chinese saying, 饮水思源, which means when you drink the water, remember the source. Remember where it came from. Remember who worked so hard to give you that water that you can drink here today, that you can enjoy. And for that, we will be forever grateful to Advocate George Bizos. Thank you.
Advocate Bizos took on the challenges of life with self-assurance and determination, not looking to his own interests, but to those who stood for honorable causes. Setbacks were viewed as temporary, and in his actions, he demonstrated that ultimately good would triumph over evil, especially when an individual is willing to stand up for what is right.
Ο Γιώργος Μπίζος δεν είναι πια εδώ. Τον αποχαιρετούμε με τα λόγια από την Ιθάκη του Καβάφη. Η Ιθάκη σε έδωσε το ωραίο ταξίδι. Χωρίς αυτήν δεν θα βγαινε στον δρόμο, αλλά δεν έχει να σε δώσει πια. Κι αν πτωχική τη βρύση, η Ιθάκη δεν σε γέλασε. Έτσι σοφός που έγινες, με τόση πείρα, ήδη θα το κατάλαβες οι Ιθάκες τι σημαίνουν. Καλό ταξίδι, Γιώργο Μπίζο. Φίλοι μας από το Σαχέτη θα είμαστε πάντα κοντά σας. Μια μεγάλη οικογένεια.
Να αγαπάς τα βουνά και τα πέλαγα, τους γνωστούς και τους άγνωρους τόπους.